Story 1. My family and I set up camp in the remote woods, just as the sun was beginning to set. We eagerly anticipated our camping trip, and the mouth-watering aroma of our parents' campfire-cooked dinner filled the air. I had to go to the makeshift toilet area farther from our campsite because I needed to answer nature's call. I encountered an eerie atmosphere in the dimly lit woods, with rustling leaves and the hoot of an owl. I dismissed the shivers and assured myself it was simply my imagination. The makeshift toilet area was close, but not close enough for comfort. I hastily finished and was about to return when a peculiar, unearthly noise echoed from the depths of the forest. It sounded like a combination of a gentle buzz and a far-off murmur. It gave me chills, and I couldn't resist my curiosity. I continued into the forest, pursuing that unsettling noise. It was like a captivating melody, irresistible and twisted. I regretted not turning back, but I couldn't resist. I experienced a strong force drawing me further into the shadowy, enigmatic forest. As I progressed further, the noise grew louder and more disconcerting. Its source was indiscernible, heightening its creepiness. Unexpectedly, a hand covered my mouth, and I was forcefully pulled into a concealed campsite. I felt my heart race as I gazed at the man who had brought me to this place. His unkempt appearance, untamed, unwashed hair, and his gaze revealing unprecedented madness. "If you say a word or attempt to flee, I will kill you. Do you understand?" I nodded, consumed by terror. My parents were unaware of my absence, and I had no means of seeking assistance. He squeezed my arm, signaling me to take a seat on the log by the fire. He had a crazy appearance, and I was terrified. As the fire crackled and cast eerie shadows, he ranted about luring people into the woods using that strange sound, just like he did with me. He expressed his intention to trap me indefinitely, which immediately struck me with immense force. I faced serious peril. I could no longer prevent my tears and started to silently sob. As hope faded, I heard footsteps and a voice shouting, "Where are you?" The man stood still, his wild eyes quickly shifting towards the nearing sound. He momentarily let go of me, and I seized the opportunity. I ran towards the camper who had heard my cries. My savior took my hand and guided me from the man's camp. My parents, frantic and worried, saw us running towards them. The other camper explained what had happened, and my parents called the authorities. The man vanished into the woods before the police arrived. They searched thoroughly, but he remained undiscovered. I still feel haunted by the encounter, as if I narrowly escaped a terrible fate. I ponder the fate of others drawn by that eerie sound, forever changing my camping experience. Story 2. I went camping with my friends in the woods to have a fun and adventurous weekend getaway from the daily routine. We enjoyed a nice campsite by a private lake with a crackling fire as we toasted marshmallows and traded tales. The night turned sinister and ruined everything. A stranger appeared from the shadows while we sat by the campfire. He appeared unkempt, as if he'd wandered in the wilderness for days. He scanned the room before focusing on me. Concerned, I asked him, "Are you all right?" He muttered something about requiring assistance and mentioned his companions being injured. I felt compassion towards him and thought we could offer help. I persuaded my hesitant buddies to become good Samaritans. The stranger guided us into the dense, shadowy woods, and a shiver ran down my back. It felt as if we were entering a terrifying dream. We continued, shining our flashlights through the pitch-dark woods, following him further, cracking twigs beneath, whispering secrets in the breeze. We found a clearing after what felt like forever, with 2 guys already there. They appeared threatening, not wounded, and I felt uneasy instantly. They swiftly attacked us, and the stranger's disguise vanished. They attempted an assault and demanded our belongings. I felt fear as I resisted, as did my friends. The forest resounded with grunts and the commotion of bodies. I grappled with an assailant, my face smudged by leaves and dirt. I felt a rush of adrenaline and an intense determination to safeguard what belonged to us. We persisted endlessly, unwavering in our resolve not to succumb. My friend called for help on his cell phone amidst the chaos. We hoped for a savior to arrive, as it served as our only connection to the outside world. As the odds turned against us, distant sirens of approaching police cars reached our ears. The attackers, having heard them, promptly fled into the woods, vanishing like apparitions. We were battered, shaken, yet relieved. We provided the police with a shaky account of the incident upon their arrival. They searched the vicinity but discovered no trace of the attackers. The officers promised to investigate after taking our statements. We were frightened and remained on edge for the rest of our camping trip, never forgetting the terrifying experience. We sensed being observed as we came back to our campsite. Our fire burned all night, creating flickering shadows that deceived our perception. We lacked sleep, and every noise in the woods made us shudder. The next day we departed promptly, motivated to leave the harrowing experience in the past. A peaceful camping trip turned into a chilling horror story, serving as a reminder that danger can exist anywhere. We appreciated our fast thinking and timely assistance, which prevented a memorable camping trip from becoming an unforgettable nightmare. Story 3. In our small, peaceful home, it was a typical evening. Lily, my daughter, had just turned 16 and was juggling all the typical teenage issues like friends, school, and late-night Netflix binges. But that evening, events took a terrifying turn, and I still get goosebumps thinking about it. At approximately 2 a.m., the sound of Lily's frightened whisper startled me to consciousness. Her voice trembled, and her words sent a chill down my spine. "Mom, help! I can't move!" My heart was thumping as I stumbled out of bed and hurried to her room. I pounced on her door, and what I saw will haunt me always. Lily was lying in her bed, her eyes wide open and fixed on the ceiling. Although she appeared frightened, what was most unsettling was that she had no movement at all. She appeared paralyzed. She was unable to respond when I tried to speak with her. Inside of herself, she was entrapped. Initially, I tried to gently shake her and reassure her, but nothing I did seemed to be effective. I was completely helpless as panic gnawed at the edges of my mind. Although I had heard of sleep paralysis before, nothing could have prepared me for the sheer horror of experiencing it firsthand, particularly when it was happening to my child. I could see tears forming in Lily's eyes, and her breathing became labored. Even though she was awake and aware of her surroundings, she was confined to a nightmare between being awake and asleep. Despite the fact that she couldn't feel my touch, I held her hand and tried to let her know that I was there for her. The space seemed to get dimmer and colder as I sat there. Unsettling whispers and what sounded like distant footsteps could also be heard. My heart beat faster, and I couldn't get rid of the feeling that something evil was hiding nearby, waiting for a chance to strike. I recalled reading that talking to someone experiencing sleep paralysis occasionally helped them snap out of it, as I was in the midst of this bizarre horror. As a result, I began reassuring Lily subtly that everything would be all right, that it was all just a dream, and that she should get up. I fervently hoped that it would succeed. Lily's body jerked, and her eyes quickly blinked after what felt like hours, and she let out a loud gasp. The moment she rejoined me, the space appeared to have returned to normal. Her whole body shook as she hugged me tightly. I comforted her as the fear subsided by holding her close. We chose to sit up together and discuss what had happened instead of sleeping much that night. Lily described how, just before the paralysis started, she felt a foreboding presence in her room, and a great sense of dread overcame her. I hope we never have to go through that terrifying experience again. Even though sleep paralysis is a well-known occurrence, when it affects your child, it's a real-life nightmare that no amount of reason can cure. The incident still makes me uneasy because it serves as a stark reminder of how defenseless we all are when darkness falls and we find ourselves stranded in the unsettling space between sleep and wakefulness.